Tens of thousands left homeless by Cyclone Nargis struggle to cope with food shortages and poor sanitation. And from President to Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin takes on a new lead role in Russian politics.
Решение принято.
Hello, you're watching News Hour, 60 minutes from China and the world with me, James Chow. We start our lunchtime program with Chinese leader Hu Jintao, who continues his 5-day state visit to Japan with a stop in Yokohama. On Friday, he'll meet local officials and parliamentary members in the city. Meanwhile, the president will also inspect local environmental protection projects. Now, earlier, of course, Hu Jintao was in the capital, Tokyo. There he gave a speech on Thursday at the prestigious Waseda University. He spoke about China's past, its present and its future, and he called on young people from both countries to work together for what he called a better future. Meng Lingqi has details.
President Hu Jintao briefed the students on the long history of China. He also talked about China's development in the past 30 years of reforms and opening up. He said China will continue to progress along the path of peaceful development.
China firmly adheres to its independent foreign policy of peace and mutually beneficial strategy of opening up, and devotes itself to promote democratization in international relations and pushing forward economic globalization toward the goal of balanced, universal benefit and all-win results.
President Hu Jintao asserted that China will never seek hegemony or territorial expansion. Regarding Sino-Japanese ties, President Hu Jintao said that on a new historic threshold, China-Japan relations are facing new opportunities for further development. China would work together with Japan to usher in a new prospect for the overall development of bilateral ties. The Chinese president made a 5-point proposal on furthering China-Japan relations with mutual trust at the forefront.
Mutual trust is the premise if people want to make friends with each other. It is also the foundation if a country wants to seek a stable relationship with another. China and Japan are both important countries in Asia and even the whole world. Both sides should treat each other's development objectively. They should see each other as partners that are mutually beneficial through cooperation rather than mere rivals. They should support each other's peaceful development and treat it as an opportunity rather than a threat. They should stick to solving differences by dialogue and consultation.
2008 has been designated as the year of friendly exchanges between youths of the two countries. Waseda University played an important role in Sino-Japanese friendly exchanges in the past decades. President Hu Jintao announced the Chinese government will invite 100 Waseda students for a visit. Meng Lingqi, CCTV.
Also Thursday, Hu Jintao met leading Japanese politicians to discuss new ways to deepen the bilateral relationship. He also spoke to NGOs and hopes they'll continue to contribute to the friendship.
On the third day of his trip to Japan, President Hu Jintao met the House of Representatives Speaker Kuno Yohei and President of the Upper House Satsuki Eda in Tokyo. Hu Jintao praised the positive role of the exchange mechanism between China's National People's Congress and Japan's parliament. Japanese lawmakers said their parliament is hoping to establish closer ties with China's NPC and make more contributions to bilateral relations. They also wished the Beijing Olympic Games success. Earlier, President Hu Jintao had breakfast with 4 of Japan's former prime ministers. He said the Sino-Japanese relationship is one of the most important two-way ties for both countries. He said that with the development of economic globalization and Asian integration, the two sides are shouldering more common responsibilities and interests. Hu Jintao also attended a welcome reception sponsored by some China-Japan friendship groups and representatives of overseas Chinese. Hu Jintao said the Sino-Japanese relationship goes beyond the two sides alone, as it generates increasing impact around the globe. He hopes the organization will continue to work to develop the Sino-Japanese friendship. President Hu attended the opening ceremony of the China-Japan Friendly Exchange Year of the Youth at the Waseda University. In his speech, President Hu said the youth of the two countries should join hands to build a bridge between them. After his speech, President Hu took time out and played table tennis with athletes from China and Japan. 207 CCTV.
Well, one of the highlights of Hu Jintao's 5-day Japanese state visit, apart from the table tennis, has been the signing of the Sino-Japanese joint statement. The 6-point pact promotes all-round strategic and mutually beneficial relations between Tokyo and Beijing. Let's take a look at how leading Japanese media are reporting on this document, which many say will chart a new era for closer ties.
Japan's largest newspaper, the Mainichi Daily News, says the latest Sino-Japanese joint statement forges mutual trust and the sharing of responsibility between China and Japan. It also says the new pact charts a win-win path for the further development of Sino-Japan relations. The Mainichi Daily also agrees that long-term peaceful cooperation is the only way forward for both Japan and China. The second most circulated national newspaper in Japan, the Asahi Shimbun, says the newly signed joint statement has expanded Sino-Japanese ties from the level of bilateral cooperation to collaboration on international issues. It also says the statement's call for peace and friendship and not posing any threat to one another was realistic. And it is the best path ahead for Japan and China. The Asahi Shimbun also praised the dialogue mechanism to enhance better understanding between Japan and China. The newspaper noted that this was one of the significant results of the talks between Hu Jintao and Japanese Prime Minister Yasuo Fukuda. One of the commentators on Japan's national broadcaster NHK noted the friendly atmosphere in the air on the day both sides signed the new Sino-Japanese joint statement. He also remarked that President Hu Jintao's visit to Japan shortly after his re-election as state leader of China shows the great importance that China attaches to Japan. He also said the Chinese president's visit, despite a rocky period in the relationship between the two countries in previous years, signaled China's determination to forge friendly ties with Japan. And Japan's main news distributor, Kyodo News Service, said the statement shows China's willingness to enhance Sino-Japanese ties, especially by sharing responsibility between the two countries in dealing with matters in the Asian-Pacific region and around the world.
We've got more reaction on that story. A US expert on Chinese studies has commented on Hu Jintao's state visit to Japan. Our CCTV reporter spoke to him for his views on the global significance of the trip.
Well, I think it's a very positive development. And I don't mean just positive for Japan and China, though I think that's true, but I think it's positive for the United States. Basically, I think the United States has an interest in positive Japan-China relations because our fundamental interest is stability in East Asia, and there cannot be stability in East Asia if Japan and China are not cooperative. And also the interest of the United States is to develop its trade and economics in the region. And we would like to see China and Japan concentrate on economic development, trade, and solving some of the important transnational issues. So I think this is a very positive development for all the big powers in East Asia.
Other stories now. China's top political advisor Jia Qingning is on an official visit to Hungary. During his meetings with the Prime Minister Grzegorz Ferenc, Jia Qingning said Beijing is willing to expand cooperation in both trade and in strengthening cultural exchanges. Meanwhile, Grzegorz stressed Hungary's adherence to the One China policy and sent his best wishes ahead of the Beijing Olympics later this summer. Jia Qingning also met Hungary's parliamentary speaker and said the CPPCC is ready to strengthen exchanges with Hungary's National Assembly.